All right, I call this meeting to order. Let's go ahead and get a roll call vote.
Chair Espino,
Here.
Commissioner Holland,
Here.
Vice Chair Wolf,
Here.
Commissioner Adams.
Here.
All right, moving on to the community participation forum. Members of the community may address planning commission on matters not listed on the agenda. The planning commission can discuss nor act on any community participation item brought forward by a member of the community. Comments are requested to be limited to 3 minutes. We don't have anybody on this speaker. There's no.
Chair?
Yeah.
Chair, we're actually not allowed to take comments over the internet.
Okay,
Really?
Yeah,
you just get to
I
listen.
was not aware of that.
I know. Nobody was. I guess it was yeah, it's okay. It was a thing once upon a time, but for whatever reason, it's been removed.
Yeah, I think it was just COVID.
Yeah, okay. Seeing as our current, okay, we'll move on then. We're gonna move to the consent agenda, item 1, planning commission minutes. Do we have a motion? For approval?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes dated November 10th, 2025 and January 21st, 2026. I'll second that.
Public hearing, item number 2, reinstatement of site development plan SDP 1-22 or 1225 Highway 99. Would you like to read this back for us? Item number 2.
Do we have to take roll call for the first two?
Oh, my apologies.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Okay, Chair Espino,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Vice Chair Wolf,
Yes.
Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks for keeping me on track. I appreciate that. Let's revisit public hearing item number 2. I pass that over to our planner.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. You will, if you don't mind, starting up that.
Sure.
Point for me.
Yeah, right? There's maps that weren't in there before.
So you may recognize the site. It has been here a few times before. It was conditioned to expire, so it did expire several times, and we are bringing it back. At this time, I've removed any language that will allow it to expire again. They are in the process of submitting plans and moving forward with the project, so there isn't really a good reason for this to expire once again. However, we will go over some of the basics as a reminder of what was proposed initially. So this is located at 125 or 1225 California Highway 99. It's on the south end of town, just west of 99. It is it abuts West Liberty along the southern border, rezoned C2 general commercial. So these rezones were they stick. This isn't what was part of the expiration. So once we rezone it, we're not going to go revisit that. That is just a done deal. It's a 3.41 acre after the lot merger. So there were 2 parcels there to begin with. And I put those together to make the site big enough to fit all the things they wanted on there. And that is the merger number that is sticking there. Currently, the site is relatively empty. I think whoever owns it might have a few random things there from time to time, but there is no actual use to speak of at that site. So what they're proposing obviously is a gas station, EV charging station, a convenience store, car wash, and a drive-through coffee shop. These are renders here of what they intend to build there, what they intend for it to look like, and the layout itself. So you may remember a time before there was a street light there, before the campfire, and the street light was put there because of the FEMA camp that they put in the industrial park. And that helped kind of regulate some of the traffic there. Obviously, that increased things, but it does create some concerns about the flow of traffic coming in and out of that if it becomes a gas station out of the southern entrance exit. So the way it's designed, and we can actually let me go back to that previous slide. You can see that there are gas stations for the big trucks to the north, and the flow goes around to the west side. And there could be potentially be an exit to the south there. Now, that road is not built for STA trucks, and so as it stands right now, that probably won't be something that's active in the beginning. They'll have to do some work to get it to a place where they can actually get it there. We'll probably have to revisit this. You'll see this again. But in the short term, they can start putting stuff up and start getting some of the basics under operation.
Now, is that something that Caltrans will be taking care of when it comes to that road? Not West Liberty. On West Liberty?
So West Liberty is the city of Gridley's responsibility.
Okay.
However, it does interact directly with 99, which is Caltrans territory, and there'll likely need to be some collaboration there. Having big trucks come out on West Liberty to that stop sign and the organization of that flow will likely need a lot of that collaboration. But West Liberty itself is the city of Gridley's, so it would require some road upgrades. I know they did some road upgrades for the FEMA camp, but not to STA levels. So the surrounding area, you'll notice that there's already some industrial uses to the west. Obviously, industrial park is right there. There are some residential and commercial uses to the east, industrial to the south, and industrial to the north. So it has an industrial vibe, but it does also find itself around some neighborhoods and some streets that go into neighborhoods. And there have been some calls and concerned citizens about how it might affect their flow of traffic, especially with that light there. Their ability to go, say, into Hollis Lane can be hindered when traffic is backed up going into West Liberty. So it's the same turn lane for both. And that has been a concern that was raised. And that kind of coincides with traffic coming out of that proposed southern exit onto West Liberty. If that light is red for a period of time, that traffic can back up and you may have trucks that are sitting there waiting to come out on West Liberty. So again, making sure that we're collaborating with Caltrans and getting ahead of those problems is key. But at this point, that's something that can be pushed back to a later date, and we'll likely have to come back here so we can discuss how that works. And these issues are conditioned so that they can't just do it without coming up with a plan for it. And we'll get to that in a little bit. Landscaping, I evaluated these personally. They look fantastic. There was nothing here that raised any eyebrows. It meets all the model efficient landscape ordinance that's put forth by DWR, and we look pretty nice, honestly. Again, we're looking at the site design here, and it's the flow is really intended so that all the different amenities can be accessed without interruption, without the different uses kind of interacting with each other. It's hard to imagine what that might look like in practice, but if you do study the site plan, I think it's in the packets that were sent out in the agenda. You can kind of understand what the thought process is behind some of these. It would really be contingent on the big rigs that are going to that northern side, to the pumps to the north, exiting out that southern exit. If they were to try to come out any other way, if they just don't have the turning radius, and the flow of that site design just wouldn't allow for it. It would really kind of mess things up. So we'll see how that develops over time. So here we have condition 7 and condition 8, and these speak specifically to those STA truck standards and what would need to happen for that part of the project to move forward. So there is a trigger in place, and it's kind of a stopgap to make sure that they don't just go out there willy-nilly doing whatever they want. And if you have any questions about those, by all means, I'm happy to discuss that. And That's it. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. The site design, the impacts, the uses have not changed since the previous times it's been here, and so. If you thought of any questions between the last time I was here and now?
I know before they were not allowed to coming from the south, make left-hand turns into the fuel station. Is that still?
So. You know, how Caltrans organizes those turn lanes. I haven't seen any literature on that. I haven't seen any comments from Caltrans, so I don't know what Caltrans has decided. That is a complicated situation though, because I'm sure we've all seen places where people shouldn't be using that turn lane to go across oncoming traffic, and they just do it. So, you know, we can paint arrows with any direction we want, and ultimately people will do whatever they want, so.
At this point, there's really only two room for two trucks in that turn lane before they can turn left.
Yeah,
Otherwise, they're gonna be in the West Liberty intersection on the third truck.
yeah,
You know, if there, say there was three semis trying to make a left-hand turn into that station,
right.
the third one's not gonna have room. He's gonna have to continue on down.
I was just going off of what I remember them saying, that is they weren't gonna be able to make left-hand turns into there. And that's the way the flow was gonna be set up.
Yeah,
It's just under 300 feet, so you're taking, it's just saying a 70-foot truck. Times two, there's 140.
right.
Then you're into the intersections.
They were kind of shoehorning some of these things in here.
Yeah, there's definitely gonna be some congestion issues here, I think. You know, if a truck decided, like somebody decided that they're gonna turn left at West Liberty Road to try and get in there.
That's, I'm gonna say do not enter,
But that's right,
you know,
but if they can't make it in there,
they won't.
then where do they go? Cause then they're going down West Liberty Road, which is a narrow road to begin with. Fairly narrow, no
Turn
shoulder,
around Smith's, Randy Smith's.
but are they gonna be?
I'm just saying, that's where they turn around now.
I know, but it just seems like a really congested spot for big trucks.
Or they
Yeah.
can turn into the industrial park and make a big loop and come back out too.
Yeah.
If they find, they may find that they're only capturing southbound traffic, and that may not pay off in the long run, and it may not be something they pursue. That's always an option for them. They may find another use for that space. If they feel like it's not conducive to profitability, that's gonna drive everything.
And there's a home that's on there right now on that some of that land, right?
On the north side, I don't think
Yeah.
that's a different lot. I think it's.
That is a separate parcel, yeah.
Is that a different parcel?
Oh,
There's actually 3 parcels in that block of land.
They got the two southern.
And oh, yeah, they're exactly, the capturing two sides.
Okay, I thought that was part of this, so.
Yeah, I remember about 8 years ago, the police squad going to a meeting about the roundabout they wanted to put in there.
Oh, cool. Go right there.
Yeah. Don't even mention it.
Let's just not.
Right, you read the.
A comment that I had, or a thought that I was thinking about that just came to me after reading this for a second time was also the construction of. There's a lot of big things coming in and out of there during the construction. And so I thought also what might be nice to think about is a condition of approval regarding you're only allowed to go this one direction for all construction. That's it. For the city of Gridley, for this construction site, this is all you're allowed to do to bring all these things into here. Because it's gonna be a considerable amount of interruption in the 99. Which happens whenever they do something, you know, bigger on the 90, even smaller things like Dutch Bros, you know, can be interruptive. So that was something I thought might be looked at as a condition of approval that could be added.
If, you know, as it stands right now, they can't make left turns, then they would have to enter via southbound anyhow. I don't know that. I don't know the logistics of where things would be coming from or how they might make that happen. There are truck routes, there are determined truck routes through the city as it is, and they could potentially make loops to come back around and down. But yeah, so just with the current construction going on 99 right now poses some challenges. And so yeah, we can certainly look at,
Yeah, it'll be fascinating though, as you said, because it's really dealing with Caltrans for the most part outside of the Liberty Road,
Yeah, West
yeah, West Liberty Road, driveway.
Caltrans will restrict them to whatever they want at this point.
Yeah, so it will
That's what Caltrans will do.
definitely be, because there's no doubt, even with the stoplight that they put in, I would say accidents might have gone up. I don't know what you guys think.
They made it easier to get out from West Liberty if you're going north.
Yeah, that's true. That
I haul Walnut.
that other neighborhood to the other side, I forgot the name of that road.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, West Lane,
Kinda
it's
get
just
blocked
a
up.
mess all the time, so that's what I mean, yeah.
Made it better.
Just
for
keep
getting
hearing
out of
about it
Liberty
on
and
the
worse for home.
news, so it is a contentious area, so it'll be interesting to see how they pull that off, so that
I loop all the way around instead of coming out township. Cause you can't get out on township.
oh, right,
And
it's
half the time
terrible.
the trailer's sitting on the tracks when you're waiting
It's
to
right,
get
because you
out.
have a big, yeah.
So I made it all the way back around and come into West Liberty, and now I got a traffic light to get out on. That's great, I love it.
Any further comments on this? All right, so I'll go ahead and open this up to our community, if there is any. Do we have any on? I'll throw that out there just in case. No? No.
I'd like to comment, I didn't come here to talk about that, but I have thought about it.
Do you want to come up here and share your thoughts with us? We'd love to hear it.
Yes,
just a state.
as I saw the
Sure,
picture,
state your name first.
oh yes, Richard Sanner.
Yeah, thank you.
As I saw the exit for the trucks onto West Liberty, the railroad is elevated there, so sight distance from vehicles coming from the west could be a problem there. They might have to build that up so that people could see the trucks coming out and the trucks could see vehicles coming from the west. That just came to mind as looking at it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion, I'll close the community participation.
Do we, there was comments from a member of the public last meeting.
Oh,
Does that get entered in here or?
So they are the comments that I addressed, but you're right, I suppose Carmen gave you those. So if I remember correctly, it was the exit or going in and out of Hollis.
Well, I brought the sheet back from.
Oh.
he has a copy of it here. I don't know if you guys have it on file, because I'm sure he sent it.
She sent it to Carmen, so I don't personally have it, but
Well, I'm sure we could add that into our meeting if.
do you have the comments there? Do you want me, I'm happy to present them if you want.
I think most of them you addressed.
Several, it's that excuse the cat footprint on.
It's a small. Yeah, blame the cat on.
It's your notary.
That's right. Did you need a minute with that?
So they do start by saying, this is kind of, they're pleased to support the project. We are concerned about the safety access from West Liberty Road as shown on the site plan. And they ask that you consider these facts. Southbound traffic from Granby's west side, especially that of Warren housing developments, which are all the west of city center, is increasingly choosing to travel south via Dewsnup, Richens, and Losser avenues, then east on West Liberty to Highway 99. Additional planned development along Biggs Gridley Road will significantly add to this volume of traffic. Passenger vehicles competing for the same road capacity. Road speeds of the vehicles on West Liberty Road is already well beyond posted speed limits. The elevation of the railroad tracks at the crossing on West Liberty is significantly higher than the road so that low vehicles, bicycles, and pedestrians may not be seen by eastbound vehicles. Sections of West Liberty are still mixed use with residential properties, So that West Liberty to Highway 89 is still an expected path for children to the high school and commercial centers. With these facts in mind, I think that West Liberty access on the southwest corner of this project and adjacent to the Union Pacific Railroad easement is poorly located and will unduly put pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists at risk. All vehicles, but especially slow rolling trucks turning left on egress of the property, along with all vehicles in the eastbound lane of West Liberty waiting to ingress the property will continue to holding traffic in both lanes, which can cause the eastbound vehicles to be stranded on the railroad tracks. Without a major redesign of this crossing, escape from the entrapment on the tracks may not be possible. Suggest that a better placement would be immediately to the east of the existing Union Pacific Railroad, where the space is to expand the road and better accommodate relief through traffic. I therefore recommend that conditions 7 and 8 include the requirement for the STAA designation before trucks are allowed to ingress or egress from West Liberty Road, and that Union Pacific Railroad review and agree to their site plan. Further, I ask that the commission ensure that all costs to make changes to West Liberty Road and any improvements required or recommended by Union Pacific Railroad are completed prior to occupancy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was thinking, there'd have to be a lot of pedestrian traffic now, but
Thank you.
they are gonna be completing a sidewalk at some point.
Oh, yeah.
To that point.
Oh, when they do this project?
Mhm.
And there's also recreation area going,
Behind it, yeah, the baseball fields and soccer fields.
yeah.
That will be walking to the store to
Yeah,
get something to drink.
I mean, that'll be nice if that.
Yeah,
So we have to they have to involve the railroad anyways whenever you're making any road improvements like that.
Right.
So
Well, Caltrans will also make the decision of whether West Liberty is gonna be SDAA. The railroad will be in that decision also.
yeah,
So there's really, we need to agree with the Caltrans and the railroad's assessment of allowing truck traffic through there. I don't think if they come up and say that they can do it, I'm not opposed to that, but obviously there has to be some adjustments to the turning radius coming out of the property.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't. Oh. I'm not an expert in the field, so I cannot really comment specifically about what the impact would be, but. It looks.
So this would all happen when permits are pulled or applied for. And then there would be a process where Caltrans is involved and Union Pacific, all that.
Yeah, so I don't have the conditions on me, but the way the conditions read are that is the trigger.
Right.
Still up here.
Are those entities actually approving the,
number 7 says the applicant shall provide the necessary permit, application materials, and bear all the costs to apply to Caltrans. The request West Liberty Road be designed as designated for ingress and egress. All signage required shall be installed at the cost of the project out. So they're bearing the cost of all that.
yeah. So if they can get it past them,
Wow.
it's,
Yeah.
all right.
I do think though, even though regarding the amount of pedestrian, bicycles, traffic, I do think even though it's not, it's not a super highway of traffic at this point. I think as we move along, as the planning commission, we move along, I think we have to, in my opinion, change our brains a little bit and think about what will be, as opposed to always striving, coming from behind and trying to catch up. Because like we're doing with the parks, for instance. So yeah, so that's just food for thought as we move forward. But do we have any further discussion? No, do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to reinstate of SDP 122 site development plan review for the development of a mixed-use commercial site consisting of 5,200 square foot convenience market, auto fuel pumps, 4 fuel pump canopy for tractor trailers, a 1,344 square foot car wash, and 824 with coffee kiosk and 2 drive-through lanes located on the commercial general plan. Land use designation is zoned as general commercial C2 at 1225 Highway 99, APN 021-270-043 and O.
I'll second it.
We can roll call, please.
Commissioner Holman?
Very well.
We
Oh, you say Holland, I think. Say that.
Wait, am I
Yeah.
saying it wrong?
Holland,
Holland?
Yeah.
Okay.
yes,
Commissioner Adams?
Yes.
Chair Espino?
Yes.
Vice Chair Wolf?
Yes.
Am I saying yours right?
Yep.
Okay.
Moving on to item number 3, tentative parcel map 1-26. Planning Commission to review and recommend, recommend approval of Planning Commission Resolution number 2026-3C-01 for the subdivision of 800, 804, and 820 Spruce Street, subject to the conditions of approval contained in Exhibit A and finding the project categorically exempt from CEQA pursuant to section 15.3.15. Do we have a report?
Good evening. Yeah, so this is actually happening right back here. You guys may be familiar. There is some work currently going on, so you probably, if you drove by, you may have noticed. They're just ruined the whole thing. So Dennis Woodruff is subdividing this parcel from 1 parcel into 2. Parcel 1 will be a dentist office, or that was the previous use of that structure. And the parcel 2 will have just the residence there. No new construction is proposed. Currently, what they're doing is just a renovation of a kitchen, if I'm not mistaken, to upgrade that for the current residents. It's zoned C1 restricted commercial with a downtown mixed use overlay. And I apologize, when I made this presentation, there were pictures to show all kinds of stuff that was going on, and the computer up here doesn't have the same format for stuff. And so it just removes my So downtown mixed use is an overlay where it allows you to have commercial with residential. It speaks more to having the commercial at the bottom and the residential on top, kind of like what we see in the downtown here. That's kind of the spirit of what they're wanting. So what they have there isn't what was intended. But as we all know, these are buildings from 50s, 40s, maybe earlier, and so they were grandfathered in. It's what we call legal non-conforming. So they're allowed to have it, but it doesn't conform necessarily with our zoning or our general plan as it stands today. It's also a kind of a transitional area. If there was a graphic here, you'd see that it quickly, once you pass the Butte Water District, turns into residential with a different overlay, with another mixed use combining zone. And those have different purposes. So it is, even if it's not conforming, it is in the nature of the neighborhood. There's nothing different about it. And he's not proposing to change the layout or the use of any of these buildings. It is simply to separate the commercial from the residential. And in that way, it actually increases conformity because now you have one building and part of that parcel that's actually fully conforming. Not that it would make any difference if there's a line there or not, but if you're concerned that this isn't making this out of conformance by any additional way. So the surrounding uses, obviously Butte Water District is to its north, to its west is a residential use, and then to its east is a residential use, and to the south is a vacant lot. There's a great picture about that we cannot see. So all the uses around really kind of match what is being there, what is there anyhow. CEQA determination, there's actually a couple of CEQA determinations that could have applied here. The class 15 minor land division, because all we're doing is drawing a line, it doesn't really have an environmental impact. But really what I went with was common sense exemption. And these are the reasons why. Dividing into 4 fewer parcels, no new development and no unusual circumstances. it's less than a 2% slope. There's nothing really that's being impacted here. The use isn't changing, not intensifying or anything like that. It meets all the subdivision map findings, it's, generally consistent with the general plan and zoning. Because it's legally non-conforming, even if it doesn't do exactly what those things say. The site is physically suitable, there's no health impacts. Obviously no environmental damage. On a side note, I might add that he expressed to me that his purpose for this was to, if he can sell that commercial lot, then he can continue to upgrade those dwellings there and improving the land around it. So it is all in the spirit of actually upgrading that area and those dwellings, so. The conditions of approval are very standard. The only thing that really kind of stood out was that there was a gas meter on the dental building that served one of the residences. And as a practice, the city has had problems with that in the past. And so it's just been expressed that this is not what they do. The gas meter needs to be on the respective parcel that it serves. And so there's a condition for them to move that gas meter back to the building that it serves. Other than that, these are pretty standard conditions for.
So you're saying that the gas meter's actually on the back of the commercial property? Yeah, so I understand why they would move it to okay. But
There are some other utilities that are impacted that are probably worth bringing up. There is a shared sewer line, so the sewer line connects in the alley there. And if you come back from that main there, I think it's about 35 feet. It splits off to go to the two different parcels for the two different uses. So there would be another recordation of some kind of agreement that those two parcels have to have equal responsibility to maintain that shared utility. And there'll be some easements that also come in to make sure that it's all you don't have problems 20 years down the line when those two property owners get a fight or whatever, so.
The septic you're talking about.
The septic and any other gas lines or anything that crosses through somebody's property, maybe next corner or something.
But in this case, we're just talking about the septic, or are we talking that there was other shared?
So there's some overhead lines, and the engineer may know if there's more than one.
There's one to the former dental building,
Yeah.
and there's one that comes in and serves the two other buildings. It's further up the alley, comes off a bowl.
Right, okay, yeah.
Or
So there are a few.
uses.
Yeah, so there are a few utilities that kind of cross over through the different parcels. So all of those things, they just need to have easements to make sure that whatever building they're serving, there's legal access to be able to maintain those lines or serve some.
Were you complete? Sorry.
Answer questions.
I was waiting for more.
Yeah. So, the specific condition is just saying that, everything has to be recorded. You can do that through either a deed restriction or a covenant or something of that nature to make sure that all that infrastructure is being able to, that it's responsible for and that it can be accessed by.
Is that what item 7 is talking about in exhibit A? Is that what all encompassing?
I don't have it in front of me.
It says utility meters and shared infrastructure, each parcel shall be provided with independent gas, water, electrical meters located on the parcels served. Any shared underground utility infrastructure? And the only one I heard you mention or read you mentioned was the sewer in this report.
Right. Well, that's it. That's the underground part of it. The
Okay,
easements are shown on the map itself.
shall be governed by a recorded agreement, and that's what you're,
Exactly.
okay. Okay. Thanks. I just wanted that clarification.
so it looks like there's one water valve that feeds the whole property, both parcels.
No,
Is there two? Is there another water valve?
there's one that serves the
It looks like it's coming down under the site, well, next to the site.
maybe on wrong.
Over here and what
Oh,
It's only showing one and that,
Yeah, I see it. Okay, yeah,
I thought there was one that was serving the dental office separately, but I'm not seeing it on here.
Yeah, there, it does show two water valves here
I could,
on the one,
oh yeah, it does show next to
Parse them out.
next to where the fire hydrant is.
yeah, water valve,
yeah.
water valve, that's number one, and water valve, yeah. This one here, box 94 and box 5.
Mike helps too.
Oh, say last page. Yeah. Oh.
Are we clear on that?
Oh, looks.
So I'll go ahead and open this, since we have the gentleman up here, I'll go ahead and open this up to our community and you can
I
share.
really had no comments other than to answer any
Okay.
questions that I could have not come up.
So it was an existing dental office. Is it gonna stay that way or you don't know?
Gonna stay commercial.
Oh, so it's not, okay, so they're gone.
It's not currently being
Parcel one, lot,
it's being remodeled.
stay
Okay.
commercial. And the other two will be. Units. I got nothing. That's fine.
He answered my question.
Good.
There'll probably be a few lots around town that are like this, huh?
Yeah, the only thing I had was this shared sewer.
Yeah, so if the residents plug it up and the commercial is like, hey, my toilet's not flowing anymore.
Yeah,
I mean,
I did have a
Who's-
question, I
who's
did
gonna
have
give
a
us this?
question regarding that for you,
Sure.
of how that works exactly, because I'm not familiar, I've not had that situation, heard about the situation.
Yeah, so, you know, it obviously it's gonna depend on where it's,
Just, did anybody have a question for the gentleman?
that, my only thing was just the sewer, how and because it's still staying the same owners right now. So they're still gonna own all that, but
Until somebody buys the commercial.
yeah,
lot.
so as long as it's in the verbiage that they,
There'll be a recorded easement.
yeah, that way
for the sewer and the gas line so that when they're separated, if at some point in the future, there's different owners for the two parcels and there's a problem like that, there's an easement that covers the person has the crossing and as well as the owner each have a responsibility.
Ability to get it working again.
yeah, it's not, like my neighbor's house, their sewer crosses my property and there's no easement. So I told her it's gonna be,
Common in the older parts of town.
I told her she better be nice.
Our people's law,
Cap it.
the sewer the pain was,
Yeah.
and it's being corrected when it can, I guess.
So how does that work out usually, just for my own knowledge?
so to be honest, I don't know how it'll work out. This is something that isn't very common, and it's certainly something that I have personally had to deal with. It will likely depend on who the people are in their relationship with each other when the time happens. There may be a situation where it's clogged before it meets, and in that case, the person whichever parcel that serves is gonna be wholly responsible for paying to have it serviced or have you. If they both get stopped up at the same time, then there's a good chance it's clogged further down after they come together.
Yeah.
In which case, it would just equally be financially responsible to making sure that it is maintenance and taken care of. I think that Dennis continues, at least for the short term, to continue to own the residential parcels. And I think that in splitting off the commercial, you increase someone's desire to have a commercial business in a place that they own. It's something that they can buy and have their, own the property, not leasing, not renting. And so I think that's his mindset behind, because he's had it open and available for someone to come in there and do something and nobody has made an offer. He hasn't been able to get anyone in there. So at a certain point, you have to just kind of cut your losses and say, well, maybe someone will just buy it and whatever they want with it.
Yeah, you split it off like that, it makes it more marketable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause nobody wants to buy a commercial property and be a landlord over there.
Great location for a
Oh,
small
yeah.
business.
Yeah, like I said, it's been the dentist office for a long time.
For as long as I can remember, so at least a year.
Oh, it was long,
Long before that happened.
long time.
I got nothing.
Okay, I got nothing.
Okay, guys,
Let's move forward.
feel free to make a motion.
Respect. Find it, Richard.
Yeah, so the whole reading thing is, I'll make a motion that we recommend that the approval of resolution number 2026-PC-01 for the subdivision of 800, 804 and 820 Spruce Street, subject to the conditions of approval contained in Exhibit A and finding project category exempt from CEQA pursuant to section 15315, class 15, minor lot business.
I'll second it.
A roll call vote, please.
Chair Espino,
Yes.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Vice Chair Wolf.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
We'll move to city staff and commission informational updates. I did want to take did you have an update? I'm sorry.
Take your moment.
I will take a quick moment. I just wanted to apologize for my absence at the last meeting, on the record. As that was one of my incompetencies not showing up, so my apologies to you all. Write that down. Put it in the
Put
record.
it in the record. Apology accepted.
That's
You know, I
all.
wasn't here.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
Nobody sees here either, like public or.
Right off the bat, this is the kind of book. So- Okay, sorry about that, jump in.
So I hope that you were all able to see the video that I put together. Promised I would put a video together. I assume that it went out to you guys.
I didn't see it.
No.
After the last time I presented.
Yeah.
I can talk to somebody about that. It's-
I was like, which one?
So the last time I was here, now I can't remember what it was, but what I actually did present to you guys. And, it was the housing element. And we had a person from out of town here. Favor of letting her break away. I said, I'd make a video for you guys. I did shortly after that. And I will see what happened about mine and get to you guys. However, I was gonna pick up from there. But if you guys haven't even seen that part, then, okay, so Stefan Estates is something that's been around for a while. You guys are well aware of what's been happening there. They're very close to getting their map final. They basically have done everything on the ground that needs to be done. So before they can final the map, they have to install that infrastructure underground, get those parcels graded properly, and they start doing flat work, curb gutter sidewalks and the AB work and, making sure that it drains and it collects water appropriately and that sort of thing. Landscaping is involved in that. And all of that stuff has been completed and we're at a place where there's a maintenance assessment district process. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's not in all communities, and to be honest, it's not something I've ever had to deal with. So I'm learning as I go with these, but there's a process of noticing before it can go to council for approval, and then that language goes on to the Mylars of the map so that they can then be taken down and recorded. So that's the process that we're in. Gridley has been doing things in the old way, and we haven't been giving the proper noticing time frame. So that has been extended out to update. You guys may know that Tony has kind of backed out of his position as our attorney, and Landon Little has kind of moved into the position, and Landon caught it on one of the flyers or something. And so anyhow, that's the only thing holding that up. But otherwise, I think everything's in proper order. And personally, I think it looks great out there. I think they did a good job, and look forward to the people coming in to build. The company is American Dream Construction. It's owned by a man named Kevin Darling. I worked with him quite a bit in Paradise, and his work is, I would say, it's good work. It's above average, in fact. It's not custom, big fancy homes. But it's above the tier of the ticky tacky kind of houses. He also probably puts up houses faster than anyone I've ever seen. So he was putting up houses in Paradise 2 to 3 months, and to keep that quality of work and be able to keep up that speed, you can tell he's an ambitious man who's anxious to get swing a hammer. So I look forward to that. Pacific Flyway is also in that process. It's not as visible as Stephen Estates, so sometimes you can forget that stuff's going on back there, but it's going on. And they're doing what's called a joint, or they just wrapped up their joint trench, which is oftentimes sort of just like the last stage of getting things that are underground finished up. That includes the gas line. They're working on, they're running cameras through all the sewer lines to make sure there's no blockages, or sometimes there's bulbs in there, they're supposed to catch stuff, and those areas can get kind of gummed up, right? They have problems with them. They're working with Gridley Electric to organize how to get move lines around through there. So that's that project is moving along with good progress. The challenge with the work going on right now, obviously we're in winter, and so it's subject to the weather. And so the last time I talked to the project manager, Loretta, she said, it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months. It just kind of depends on how this winter goes. And the ground oftentimes has to be very dry to do some of the things they do. So they may think, okay, we haven't had rain for a couple of months. Looks like we're getting back at it. And all of a sudden, a winter storm comes in. There's a storm warning. I was like, okay, well, who knows how long it's going to push us back. But outside of that, she's very efficient. They've been moving very fast, and she's really on top of it. So I feel really confident about what they're doing out there. And I think that when it does dry up and when it does get time to grind, she grinds. And I look forward to this project also. I think it's a tier up from the last time Chip came in here and built a subdivision, comparing the two products of what they did before and what they did now. And of course, a lot of time's gone by, so some quality upgrades were probably expected, but I look forward to what they're bringing in also, and at affordable rates. So at 80% AMI is really nice to have, especially when that category of housing is something that Gridley is probably in most need of. When you look at our RHNA numbers, regional national housing allocation, this is very common, just that the lowest, the most affordable housing is the least sought after to build. There's a lower margin for making money, so people just don't want to build those. And so it's difficult to get these projects in here, and these just kind of fell into Gridley's lap. So we got really lucky when we did the housing element. This and Orchard View were two projects that fell in our lap that kept our RHNA numbers right above where the cutoff was. So they're keeping us in good standing, but we have to continue to be vigilant to make sure we're continuing to try and drive these types of projects in. The fact that we have Pacific Flyway is a great thing. I'm really looking forward to what they're doing. Speaking of Orchard View, you may have noticed they're also have broken ground, so they're moving forward, and that's also another project that is at least 80% AMI. I think they're probably going to have something 60% AMI, and it could go even lower. So it gets complicated with the funding and how they do that, and it's not always feasible for everyone to do. I don't know enough about it to really kind of discuss it in detail, but I know that they're always trying to help the community that needs that type of housing, and it can be very difficult to do, but they are navigating that process really well. There are times when we're scrambling to make sure we get all the paperwork done and pushed out so that the funding hits the right time and all that. It can be. In fact, my first month here I feel like all we did was trying to get the paperwork through for Orchard View so that we can get that housing in here. So the first phase, I think it was 48 units. This phase is 36 units, and phase 3 will be 24 units. And so it's just, we're just lucky to have it. I'm glad that it's coming in, and that area looks nice. I feel like that apartment complex has nice facilities. They have parks. There's a basketball court. It has a lot to offer for some affordable housing. It's really nice. Outside of that, we are going into a safety element. So with the housing element behind us, that took a while for us to get certified and get it behind us. It's just a slow process in general. It's the bureaucracy of the government, and but because everybody had really gotten their housing elements out of the way, we kind of had this big avenue that was like, people had more time to kind of jump on ours. And hiring the people that we did, PlaceWorks, they have a close relationship with HCD because this is one of the primary things they do. So they knew all the people that work on these housing elements, whose desks they're going to be sitting on, who's reviewing them. And they were able to say, hey, can we kind of get this pushed through? We expedite this, and And they were able to actually get it through that last door pretty quickly. There were some kickbacks in the beginning, but place was able to get it to a good place about that. With the housing lot, there's a legislation that forces us to do a safety element with that. So anytime you're planning for an increase of population, you should also be planning for how to keep that population safe. And so those things are paired together, and normally you'll be doing those things at the same time so that they kind of speak to each other. But for the sake of staying in HCD's good graces, we wanted to expedite that housing element. May remember that from my presentation on it, but so that's what we did. But now that that's behind us, we do need to get the safety element done. Another firm called Atlas Planning Solutions won that RFP with their proposal, and I think I sent them the PSA, the public service, or the service agreement for the to do the work either earlier this week sometime. And so they're reviewing it, and we will, I mean, as soon as I can get them on board on that, I'll get that done as quick as possible. We also now have on-call planning services, so I am inundated with all that I can keep up with, believe it or not. So it's just telling Ruth, I'll probably have 3 pages of stuff that I'm responsible for doing. I probably won't touch 2 of them through those pages. So in order to kind of subsidize some of that stuff and get some of the more critical things that I can focus on in front of me and get people to do the daily stuff, the current planning, we brought in on-call planning services so we can bring in people to do environmental. And we just happen to have a legacy project that is a whole bunch of potential dwelling that's up to 840 and maybe even more if there are ADUs that come in after the fact. So 840 dwelling units changes the way we work as a municipality. It changes how we do things as a water purveyor. We'll have to rethink how our infrastructure works, especially our probably the biggest concern is the wastewater. There have been issues with sludge out there, and there's concerns about the pipe that goes under the river. So our engineer is currently working on figuring out how do we get ahead of that. We don't want to wait. We don't want to wait till it fails before we make a change. So if you add 840 dwellings at 2.9 people per dwelling, you can imagine the influx in humans that are creating wastewater. And wastewater is not the one you want to fail. Believe it or not, it's a pretty problem. So bringing in people to do environmental review is a big thing. That's something that specialists spend, a team of specialists can spend a significant amount of time on to get that, to get something that's legally defensible and that ensures that we don't have an environmental catastrophe. So far, we haven't gotten, we don't know what legacy is going to look like in the end. They have gotten to a place where we can deem their submittal complete. So the clock is ticking on trying to make sure that it is in a good place, that we can bring it to recommend it. But as it stands right now, I think we're gonna have some challenges that we have to work through. There are some concerns with circulation, emergency response times. There's a lateral 7 that crosses between Chandler Park and Legacy Project that nobody wants to breach. So it's an expensive endeavor, but we'll have to figure out those answers along the way. Outside of that, there's some little projects. There's a new dwelling off of Bridgeford and I think it's 890 Bridgeford, and also the same person is working on something at 185 California. I think those are the big things. There's always people walking through the door asking questions, and I just try to keep the roof from caving in, but otherwise.
Can you update us on the parks? That was supposed to
That's
be, kids were supposed to be playing in them by now, so just curious
Sure,
what
sure.
the holdup is on that.
Yeah, so I'm not very tightly involved in that. That's largely an engineering task, and that's what's going on out there. But I have listened to it enough that I can regurgitate what I've heard. Essentially, what has happened over probably millions of years is that sediment from the foothills washes down into the basin. We're in a pretty low part of the valley, and so you don't know what might be down 5 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet. And in this particular case, there was probably who knows, maybe been the Sac River or Feather River could have crossed over this area and moved later down the years. But it's what they call, it's like a quicksand, but not like what you see in the movies. But it's sand that when it vibrates, there's liquefaction. And basically it becomes unstable. Anything can just move around in there. So if you're gonna put pylons down into the ground to hold up a giant stadium light, if it's not stable, that becomes a huge risk. So when they learned that it was down there, they wanted to drill some test holes to see, is this everywhere? And are there places that we can move the lights to, or how many lights can we put up? So they drilled, I think, 7 holes. And 6 of them had this quicksand. So then the next question is, what are the solutions? If we can't find a solid ground that creates a stable area to put these giant light poles, can we engineer it in a way that it can survive, that it can create enough friction, or there's heavy enough base, enough surface area that the light pole doesn't fall over? And in order to do that, they've moved on to a super engineer, a guy with a PhD who specializes in this type of thing. So you can imagine the cost of this has gotten better. Yes, we have talked about that. And it's difficult. Oftentimes there aren't necessarily grants to subsidize grants. But unfortunately, we're in a place where the cost of everything is just skyrocketing. And so even without this, the project was going to be over budget, and it's difficult to know how the economy is going to change, and that it's going to change in a way that it gets so out of control that we're not sure how we're going to on. Now, our engineer is engaged with the grant givers and showing, explaining the situation, and I think there is some conversation there and giving us some leeway, and maybe there's a way to kind of help subsidize some of these things, or maybe we'll have to not have some of all the extra stuff that we wanted.
There wasn't extra stuff. That's the thing. Oh, my Lord heavens.
So, yeah, I can only speak to what's been stated in front of me, and I think that it's something that we will see the end of, and we have until 2028 to get it done, so we still have plenty of time. It's just figuring out the path forward and what is it gonna take to do it? How much is gonna come out of our pocket? Can we subsidize it with an additional grant? Can we get some relief from the people who provided the original grant?
Just making those decisions.
So we're still asking questions. We can't necessarily, whether we can have relief from the grant giver, it's probably up to the grant giver. Whether we get money from another grant will depend on, are there grants out there to help subsidize? Would they be willing to fill in the gaps? And then how we move forward in terms of the engineering task will be a combination of things. Who do we hire to engineer something new or different? And will the council want to choose one plan over another? Oftentimes, when it comes to these things, it's a financial decision. What can we afford? What's cheapest? What's easiest or fastest? So who decides depends on what the question is, but we still have so many questions that it's too early to make decisions.
Is it also, this is just a random question, is there also just too many questions questions to be asked, answers, too much to be done that there's not enough people to answer those questions?
No,
Like, are we spread thin in that area that it's not getting the focus? Is that?
No. Honestly, there's no problem that you can't solve if you're willing to throw enough money at it. And so is there enough money to solve the problems? That's a different question, but there is an answer to this. We can engineer our way through this, or we can come up with, a different solution for maybe how the fields are laid out, or where those light poles go, or what those lights.
That's my thought, not the money, but how do we deal with the situation that we're in, right?
Sure.
So how do we get around, but that's enough.
Yeah, so how do we solve the problem? That's why we just hired a really expensive engineer that knows better than anyone else. So, our engineer is incredibly talented, but he has a bachelor's. So you can imagine the guy who got his PhD He's just on it in a different league. He's just a really advanced specialist who will probably find a solution. Question is, can we afford it? And are we willing to do that solution? Or do we chase a different avenue? Same thing with that sewer crossing. Do we put in a new pipe to replace it underneath the river? Or do we run a pipe up to the bridge and across? Or do we build a new bridge for the pipe to go over the river? What's cheapest, what's fastest, what's safest?
So do we still have the same engineer that we've had for a long while, or is it a new engineer?
So Dave Harding from Bennett Engineering is the primary engineer. Now, of course, he comes with a team, so there, at any given time, you can have 7 different people working on projects, but yeah, I don't know, same as, probably.
Yeah, it's the same we've had for a long time.
Yeah.
Because the reason I bring that up is because every time we've had a subdivision come in here, we always got, oh yeah, sewer's fine. Got plenty of capacity, now we're hearing.
But the city is really saying that. like-
It was, that's what I'm saying, when they're, oh yeah, no, we have plenty of capacity, everything's fine. Now we hear that there's maybe a pipe failure
Well, you always have plenty,
looming out there.
you always have plenty of capacity until you don't, and aging infrastructure.
And that's the whole thing, now when you bring this up, they're telling us, oh no, it's gonna be fine.
Sure. And then you just have aging infrastructure, so.
Oh yeah,
The sludge issue is something that just kind of slowly creeps up, I think, over time. And that's the same with aging into infrastructure, it's something that slowly creeps up over time, and eventually you get to a point where you cross a threshold that says, okay, now we start changing our mind. We recently went through the municipal services review, and we had to start looking at these things. That's going to LAFCO on March 5th, if you're interested. But yeah, I think that part of the process is just
Which is
knowing
going to LAFCO? Sorry, you said which
our
one?
municipal service review.
Oh,
So the MSR kind of determines what is our capacity as a city, and
yeah.
so when a project comes in like Legacy, that's a big project, can we service those people? And the short answer is, as it stands now, no. But leading up to this time, we've been able to service everyone so far, and we did have the capacity, but then that sludge starts to build, the infrastructure starts to age, you hit a threshold, and you gotta say, okay, now we're at a point where we don't have unlimited capacity, and now we have to start thinking about how we're gonna upgrade, how we're gonna clean up the existing issues, how we're gonna move forward so that we don't have a catastrophe.
Cause like, it's the Chandler Estates, it's the north side.
Yeah.
When we brought that up, remember, there was a guy that came in that said,
it's the city.
well, no, he was retired, he said, there ain't no way it's gonna work. You guys are gonna be in trouble, and they're like, oh no, we're fine, and he used to work for the city.
Yeah.
He actually lives out there, and so I remember him saying, that's why when you brought this up, I'm like,
Interesting.
he brought it up at the same time too, this is, way prior to
Sure.
you being here, this is like a couple of years ago, but it just flashed in my mind, I'm like, I remember that guy standing up going, you guys are gonna be in trouble,
Yeah,
so.
I don't know anything about sewers, I'll be honest.
No,
So I can't really speak to it, but yeah. I
It's
hear you.
expensive, I just had to mine replaced, so.
Yeah. Yeah, these are complicated issues that we're trying to stay on top of, and the MSR been a real helpful tool and forcing us to kind of look into what is our real capacity. We have wells that are offline because of arsenic issues. And that could pop up with any of them at any time, so just have to be mindful about how we grow.
No, I appreciate all the updates, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, fair.
too bad you didn't have any pictures on the slides.
I know.
That's really a bummer.
I mean, I got
Pictures of my stuff.
moving around stuff, but I swear.
I do have pictures from when I got my email that's in my packet, so I have those pictures.
So it'd be red.
I just was looking at those while you.
Okay, yeah, so I do have a link that I can send out for that video. It's a little too late, but at least there's some drone footage and there's some imagery that you can look at.
Be awesome.
Yeah, do that.
Did you say something about it was on YouTube or something?
I believe it is on YouTube. I believe.
I remember you-
Hold up, there's some stuff on, actually.
Because I remember you talking about a video and I thought you were talking about YouTube, like a couple meetings ago.
Yeah, it may be, I should just send you guys out a link.
Yeah, no,
You
that's
guys can, we don't have to watch it right now. Like this,
Like this. Looks like.
Start getting it out to everybody.
Did you have some further updates?
No, I'm just here to answer questions. You guys have any further questions?
Do we have any applicants for
Oh,
planning commission?
Yeah, we were wondering
NBC down there.
for a while.
Anybody else?
They got in line.
Not engaged in that process, to be honest. So I, no, I don't think so. I haven't heard anything.
And you were checking to see if it was,
I didn't see it online.
it'd be great if we can get it back on there, but
Yes,
also.
I wrote a note for Carmen
At the
here,
very bottom, I thought it was on that.
like applications.
Yeah, down in the application.
Okay.
It was like, yeah,
Not that people go on there looking for that, but
I don't think anybody really,
it'd be nice just to have it floating around.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll
We
bring
have
it
a
up.
website coming soon, so hopefully it'll be in a way, be posted in a way that's more visible, easier to access.
Yes, it was always in this little, like down at the bottom kind of little thing of, police recruitment or whatever.
In a small community like Ridley, just word of mouth, we get it around, people.
Yeah, they hear about it and then they run.
I'm really
That's word of mouth.
surprised. We have a pretty opinionated community.
I do tell a lot of my children moms and I know how busy they are like me, so I don't know.
It's pretty low level commitment, you don't have to show up too often.
Yeah.
You don't really have
It's not bad.
things come to commission, maybe once a
I've
week,
done some reading every now and then, but yeah.
Sure.
it's not
However,
very
Wednesday is
interesting.
my busiest day of the week. It's like, holy,
Is it really?
pretty much.
Every day is my busiest day.
My Wednesdays, I'm retired, but Wednesday's pretty busy.
I had a question and that I have mentioned this in the past, but I don't think it went.
It is on there.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
This-
public notice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
public
So
notice.
let's keep it on there when that new, just in case.
Push it to the top.
I've had this in
Bring
the
it up to-
past, but I don't know if it's come up again. So I have been chair of the planning commission for quite some time. And I know that there's something written somewhere, and I'm not quite sure, that it needs to be voted on every so many years. And I think
All
that
right, let's vote on it.
we are behind. Trying to stay legal, you guys, so. I think that someone needs to, I don't know if it's Carmen or who, yeah, that I'm sure there were overdue.
Okay,
And we're breaking some rule somewhere.
Okay.
I'll bring it up tomorrow, yeah.
That need to be addressed like ASAP.
And I thought that I think we talked about it before about the time on.
At the time, how much time are you allowed, that was the other thing that we mentioned, like, what, cause we've been on here for a while,
Like 8 years.
I'm longer than,
Only a year as far as I'm
right
concerned.
after.
Yeah, I mean,
Which I just was worried about, are we legit? And
We need to be
I-
serious.
Very valid. I appreciate you bringing it up, and it's something I don't generally think about, but yeah, I will certainly.
Except for it's been a while and I'm thinking every time I come here, I'm like,
we wanna make
I
sure,
feel not legitimized.
we wanna make sure we're in compliance. so we-
Yes,
Like
yes.
everything we've done, it's out the window.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be there anyway.
I'll keep it.
Oh, you guys are new, don't even worry about it. Already?
Yeah, cause, and you were here before me because
Before
it
you.
was,
I've been here the longest so far, so that's why I'm like,
Bob, was it Bob Weiss or
we have,
Robert Wise?
yeah, Rob,
The older guy?
is it Rob?
I think it was Rob Wise. He was the chair before.
Yeah. Yeah, the older guy, no, I was thinking there was an attorney.
No, it was the older guy that was on.
Yeah, now I know who you're talking about now, but there was another person who was here, there was a whole group, I was
Well, they have-
none of these people existed.
15
It
or
sounds like you're just
going.
going out of this.
Actually,
It's just.
for the record, I love being here and it feels like I'm doing my community duty in some way. Cause I feel like that's my, being a part of this community, I feel lucky to be in this position. Despite people not wanting to be in this position. So it's definitely not that. It's just as he was saying.
Oh, I
that
had the whole. Somebody goes, hey, you wanna go lunch one day? A friend, I'm like, sure. And I show up, there's a bunch of people there about running for city council. And I said, no.
Oh, trying to get you to. run.
Yeah, I said, I'm not interested. I said, no way. I said, I don't.
Buddy, no one's asked me. I don't know.
That's politics stuff. And I told them, they're like, we think you'd be good. I'm like, I'd be, I'd be in your pocket, I'm like, you guys don't want me on the council, cause
I
I'm.
gotta grease the palm before I get my.
I say I talk too much for that, you don't want me.
Well, I told them, I said, I'm not interested in that, I said, that's political, and I said, with you guys asking me, I said,
Raising red flags already.
yeah, I said, there's no way I would do that.
Do we have any further comments, updates? What are you having for dinner? I don't know, what you got? Anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right. I will then.
Hammer down.
I will then adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for being here.
You know?
You.
You guys, we need to sue the face.